Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning, students. Today we're going to talk about chapter 7, and chapter 7 is basically named as protest. We have already talked about protest in the previous video. If you haven't watched that video, I recommend you please install the media player, or please open it on the laptop with the help of the media player. You can play that video and you can watch that. In that video, I have described, or I have discussed about the importance of fungi, the relationship of mycorrhizae, the association of mycorrhizae, lichens, and what are the diseases that is caused by what are the harmful and what are the benefit effects of fungi. I have also discussed about what are the different diseases that is caused by the plants, that is caused by the animals, and that is caused by the humans. Like what sort of diseases fungi cause to animals, fungi cause to plants, and fungi cause to humans. So in this video we're going to talk about different things, like we're going to study about the objectives. We're going to see that where the protists come from, either they're unicellular, they're cellular organization basically, in which we're going to study about either they're unicellular or they're multicellular. Also we're going to discuss about the types of the protist, like either they are autotrophic, heterotrophic, or there is any other type of the protist. We also going to study about the mode of nutrition, like how they get food, or how do they obtain food through a process of whenever we talk about the mode of nutrition, keep in mind that it can be autotrophic, or it could be heterotrophic, or it could be saprotrophic as well. So we also going to study about the habitats, that where do they live, and we're going to talk about, lastly we're going to talk about the lifestyle style of the protist. So without wasting any time, let's jump into the lecture. So the first thing first, we're going to understand about what are the protists. So keep in mind that recall yourself from the grade 9 in the second chapter. You already have studied about the kingdom classification kingdom, and we have discussed about the 5 kingdom of classification. One is called as kingdom plantae, kingdom animalia, kingdom monera, kingdom protista, and kingdom fungi, or we can pronounce it kingdom fungi. Its pronunciation is all up to you. Are you going to Google it, that what is the exact pronunciation of this? So in the kingdom protista, we have discussed about that some of the protists are animal-like, some of them are plant-like, and some of them are fungi-like. But they are not exactly plant-like, they are not exactly animal-like, and they are not exactly fungi-like. We're going to say that the protists are single-cellular, some of them are unicellular or single-cellular, and some of them are multicellular. When I say that about single cell or multicellular, it means I'm talking about that the single cell organisms are those organisms which are made up of one type of cells, and multicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of many type of cells. And like if I quote an example of humans are multicellular, means they're made up of many type of cells. If I quote an example of animals, they're also multicellular. If I say about the plants, they are also multicellular, but some of the cells are unicellular, like amoeba. That amoeba is only made up of one type of cell. The structure is similar because all the cells matter is same. So we can quote an example of amoeba, we can quote an example of Paramecium, and we can quote example of algae. Okay, now we're going to discuss about where the protists come from. The protists come from the Greek word, means the very first. These are basically the earliest eukaryotic organisms that were evolved on Earth. So when we talk about that how many number of protist species are present on Earth, we're going to say that up to 1 lakh species or up to 2 lakh species estimated worldwide. The range is different, but you are supposed to follow your book. So on your book it would be up to 1 lakh species, but if when we go to the Google account, or we're going to ask from any other software, it could show us up to 2 lakh species. The number may vary, but you are basically have to study from the book, so you must have to follow your book. We also going to say that the protists are vary in shape and sizes. It means that some of them are microscopic in nature, and some of them are we can see with the help of naked eye. We can see without the help of the microscope. So that's why we're going to say that they vary in shape and sizes. Like you can see from the picture as well that they vary in shape and size. They're not the same protist. So hopefully you get the idea about that. So when we're going to talk about that the protists are eukaryotic organisms, whenever we're going to talk about eukaryotic, keep in mind the eukaryotic organisms are those organisms which are having true nucleus, or which are having membrane bounded organelles. For example, if we're going to talk about the protists are not they are distinguished from the prokaryotic organism, because just like other than the bacteria, prokaryotic bacteria, because bacteria also have nucleus, but they also have the DNA, but their DNA is not membrane bounded. So we're going to talk about the protists having their own nucleus. The nucleus is membrane bounded. You can see this is the center, is the nucleus is present, and the nucleus is surrounded by a membrane which is called as nuclear membrane. They also contain mitochondria, and wherever the term mitochondria comes, keep in mind the function of the mitochondria is powerhouse of the cell, which means it provides energy to the cell. And when we're going to talk about the plastids, so we're going to say that the protist can prepare their own food. And how do they prepare their own food? Just please think, again think. Yes, ye are correct. We can are the anything when we say the plants can prepare their own food. Being human, we cannot prepare their own food. We are heterotrophs. But the plants or the protists can make their own food with the help of the plastids or with the help of the chlorophyll or with the help of a process called as photosynthesis. Because plastids contain an organelle, plastids and organelle which contain chloroplast, and in the chloroplast, chlorophyll pigment is present. So the last thing of the eukaryotic organism is they contain the membrane bounded organelles, unlike prokaryotic bacteria. Unlike prokaryotic bacteria means that bacteria does not contain the membrane bounded organelles. The eukaryotic organisms contain the membrane bounded organelles. Okay, so we said that they belong to another kingdom which is called as Kingdom Protista. They are not animal-like, they are not fungi-like, they are not plant-like. What is the reason behind them? The reason behind them is that they, when we talk about they are not plant-like, it means the true root, stem and leaves are absent in that. When we say they are not animal-like, because they do not develop from the embryos or have complex organ system. When we say that they do not fungi-like, it means that the fungi cell wall is made up of chitin, but the protist cell wall is not made up of chitin. They are from the fruiting bodies. They are the different fruiting bodies, like we're gonna classify. We already have discussed in the class, in physical classes, that they are divided into 4 categories: ascomycetes, basidiomycetes, zygomycetes, and there is another one. So you must keep in mind and you must open the book as well when you are revising this lecture. Okay, now we're going to talk about the mode of nutrition. When we say mode of nutrition, it means how do they prepare food. We have already discussed in the above slide that they having some of the protists are plant-like. That means they contain the plastids, and in the plastids the chloroplast is present, and the chloroplast contain the chlorophyll. It means they prepare their own food. Auto means self, like trophic comes from the word food, so means they prepare their own food with the process of photosynthesis. And in the example we can quote kelp. Kelp is also named as brown kelp or giant kelp, which is also called as an algae or algae. And the other mode of nutrition is basically the heterotrophic organisms, which means they do not prepare their own food. Some of the protists get their food from other organisms like protozoa, like slime moths. And lastly, we're going to talk about the polyphyletic nature of the protist. When we say polyphyletic nature, it means this is the most important characteristic, and this is the important short question as well, that why protists are named as polyphyletic, or what are defined polyphyletic. So polyphyletic mean they do not belong to, or they do not evolve from the common ancestors. So that is the exact definition of the polyphyletic. Poly means many, and phyletic is basically come from the word ancestors. So polyphyletic means that the protists do not belong to the same ancestor and do not belong to the common ancestor. They do belong to the different ancestors. They do evolve from the different ancestors. Lastly, we have already discussed about its microscopic nature, that some of them are basically can be seen with the help of the microscope, but some are the giant kelp like brown algae, which size is up to 6 meters long, and we can see with the naked eye. We have also already discussed about the cellular organization, that some of them are unicellular. We haven't talked about this is the new term, which is colonial and synocytic. If we say that the protists are colonial in nature, it means they live in the form of the groups. And when we say about the synocytic, in the short questions, there also the question arises that defines synocytic hyphae or defines synocytic. Synocytic means the cell which contain multiple nuclei and the simple body structure. So hopefully that's clear as well. We have already discussed about the mode of nutrition as well. If habitat, we're gonna say that where do they live? Where do the protists live? The protists are basically aquatic in nature. They live in the fresh water. They live in the ponds and lakes. They live in the damp soil and decay as well. And lastly, if we talk about the lifestyle and the parasitic nature, they are free living, symbiotic, having basically mutualism, that both partners get benefit from each other. If we talk about some of the protists are basically parasitic in nature, it means one of the they basically, when they are inside the body of the host cell, they get their food, but in return they harm them. So the parasitic nature is in which one organism get benefit and other get harmed. So hopefully this was all about the protist introductory lecture. if there is any question, feel free to reach out to me, and please try to revise and recall the lecture. We're going to meet you in the next lecture. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.